Alright, so with football season a week away, I'm going to start putting out a few videos with some football content, talking about hot topics around the league, giving out my game picks, things like that. So obviously I'm a Green Bay fan. You can tell that from the background. You'll probably see me in Green Bay gear pretty often in these videos. But the biggest topic, most talked about topic this past week's been the Trey Lance trade by the Dallas Cowboys, sending a fourth round pick to the San Francisco 49ers, and what that means for Dak. Um, Jerry has stated he did not talk to McCarthy or Dak before pulling the trigger on this trade. I can say, being a Green Bay fan, with them drafting Jordan Love and not talking to Rodgers, it definitely soured a relationship that already wasn't that great, I don't think, but it definitely accelerated it. And if you're wanting to sour a relationship with Dak that hasn't necessarily been that great, that's one way to do it. And I say that relationship hasn't been that great because they franchise tagged him. They made him play under the franchise tag. They eventually gave him an extension, but it was a long, drawn out process. There was issues on both sides. So, if in my opinion, if you know he's your future and he's your guy, then getting a contract done shouldn't be that big of a deal. You didn't see an issue or a big deal with the Chargers getting Justin Herbert's contract done. You didn't see an issue with the Bills getting Josh Allen's done. You're not going to see an issue with Cincinnati getting Joe Burrow's done when it comes time, because they know that's their future and that their future rides on those guys. So you didn't uh, you didn't see that sense of urgency and that commitment from Dallas with Dak. So um, Dak's definitely had his issues over the last few years, even though they've had a top offense. They've had the number two offense behind Kansas City since Kellen Moore took over in 2019. Obviously, he's gone, departed now to the Chargers. I think you'll see um, Justin Herbert's game and their offense get elevated now. And but since uh, the last game of 2018 and the first game of 2019, those two games were the last two games that Dak went two games in a row without turning the ball over, lost fumble or interception. That stretch goes all the way back 49 games. Uh, so since the second game of the 2019 season, he has either thrown a pick or lost a fumble in almost every game. He's had one game stretches. That's not really a stretch, but he's had one game stretches where he didn't turn the ball over, but he has not put two games together without a turnover since the beginning of 2019. And for a $40 million quarterback, that is not good. That is a lot of turnovers. If you do the math, that is a lot of turnovers. Um, Over the last three seasons, Dak's only played in 29 games due to injuries, and he's thrown 33 interceptions in that time frame. That's a lot of interceptions, almost the most in the league, and definitely the most in the league for that amount of games. Not to mention his failures in the playoffs. He has not looked good against the San Francisco 49ers in the last 2 years in the playoffs. And January is where you've got to get the job done. That's where the games matter the most. And Dak has not got it done. So I think the Trey Lance trade, while he is a developmental project, I think getting him and bringing him in does put pressure on Dak to clean his game up. But whether he cleans it up, gets rid of the turnovers or not, if he fails to get the job done in January, if he looks bad in January again, I think this is a way that the Cowboys can ultimately move on from Dak. Um, I know he's still got years left on his contract. He has a no trade clause. That doesn't mean you can't trade him. It's just he has to agree to it. But you can straight up tell him, we're going to bench you, or you can find someone to trade for you, or they have a potential out after the 2023 season. So 2024, if they release him after June 1st, they'll save $34 million of his cap hit, which is $59 million, and with a $61 million or almost $62 million dead cap hit. But if you release him after June 1st, that dead cap is $25 million, and then in 2025 it's $36 million. So you save yourself $34 million in dead cap. And if you've put a good team together, which it looks like they have, they've got CeeDee Lamb, they've got a decent running game, they've got a good offensive line, they've got some good players on defense. They have Mike Parsons, who they're about to pay. They've got to have the money to pay him. They've got to have the money to pay CeeDee Lamb. And with Dak's current contract set up, they can't afford to pay all those players and repay him. And if they do, it's going to be a long-term deal. It's going to be for $50+ million when he hasn't gotten the job done for you in January. So if Trey Lance happens to develop, gets a little bit better, they can say, all right, we're going to release Dak after June 1st next year, declare him a post-June 1st release. Yes, they'll take $25 million in dead cap, but the amount of money you're paying Cooper Rush or Trey Lance to be your quarterback, add that to the dead cap money that Dak has, and you're still saving a ton of money than what you would if you had him on your team. And if he's not getting the job done in January, what's it matter if you have that dead cap hit, because he's not winning you playoff games, he's not getting you to the NFC Championship, he's not getting you to the Super Bowl, he's not winning the Super Bowl. So you can ride with Trey Lance for a year or two, and while you try to find your long-term answer, you can try to trade Dak if it comes to that, or you can just save the money, pay everyone else on the team, because the team is winning despite Dak, not because of Dak. So roll with one of these other quarterbacks until you find a long-term answer, or somebody that you think can get the job done in January, because Dak has repeatedly shown you that he can't. And if he doesn't do it in 2023, you've got all the proof you need. You've already gotten rid of Kellen Moore because you thought that might be the issue, which I don't think it was. I think you'll see what he does with the Chargers this year, and it'll prove he wasn't the problem. So now you either have to blame Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott, or you can blame them both. But they're the two that are still there, and if things don't get done, I think you could see Dallas moving away from Dak, and they do have the availability to do that now after the Trey Lance trade. And even though it's not necessarily the best route, it may not make them be a Super Bowl contender for a couple years, but I'd rather take a step back for a year or two and find a long-term answer than just continuing to try to get it done with what you have when you know it's not going to work, when you've got all the evidence that it's not going to. So that's my take on that.